Since we couldn't get the aluminum panels, so the back of the liner, media blasted the way I wanted to do it, and since they're covered with, particularly the ones in the back doors here, covered with wood grain, plastic paper, all kinds of different paint, and the other ones are covered with all sorts of paint and mastic and stuff, even though they're not in bad shape. My son was down at the metal shop, and they had some basically leftover pieces of the right gauge aluminum to fabricate a new set of aluminum panels, and it was very, very inexpensive. And so I thought, rather than spending all the time stripping these and then we do some work on them, why not just make a new set? And again, because this happened to be two pieces of the right gauge aluminum panel, which were very, very inexpensive because they were left over from a large piece, thought, why not? It'd probably be easier to do that than to try to strip these things of all this various nonsense that was on them. So that's what I'm going to have a go at. We'll see how it goes. Now you can scribe. In this case, I'm going to use a very thin marker to mark out the shape of the door panel, including that cutout there, and as well as openings that are here for the lock, and then the screw holes here, which fit the wooden doors, which I'll show you rebuilding wooden doors and making one set up from new pieces of wood later on. I've taped it down a little bit. One nice thing is you've got nice right angles here along the edges, so I could set them down along this sheet here, and I won't have to make those cuts. These ones have a slight bow, and so those ones will have to be cut, and that section there at the top will have to be cut. So that's what we're going to do. What I like to do when I'm doing this is to hold down the piece that I'm using as a template with some tape, mark everything off. I'm marking off the holes and everything else, and then one by one you can pull up the tape that's holding it down and complete the lines in that area, and there you've got everything ready to go, and nothing's moving around on you when you're marking this off. And so there you go. There's your nice template that you can then cut off of. And obviously I'm going to keep these doors, these panels. I can go back in case I've screwed up, I've somehow accidentally erased the mark for the screw holes and things like that. But we'll try to cut this now to size. Now I've put a straight edge down here just to illustrate the fact that the doors are not perfectly square or rectangular. There is a slight bow to them on the side with the cutout, and so that was sort of apparent looking at them. Then once you trace them out and put a straight edge down against there, then it becomes very, very clear that there is a slight bow to these pieces. To make a nice straight cut along here and keep it well controlled, I'm using a pair of Eastwood metal shears here, and it's aluminum, so it cuts it very easily, and you can really control it and keep a very nice straight cut there, and nice edge on the cut. Okay, so here's one of the original doors, and I fit it right down on top of the new one, the new aluminum door I made, and you can see, we just have a perfect fit there. And so now all that remains to be done is the cutout there, and the screw holes, and of course then we're going to rough it up a little bit and epoxy primer it, and it'll be ready to paint. A beautiful, beautiful surface, and just too much hassle to try to strip this thing of all the crap that was on it. Now on the rear door portion of the aluminum, The screw holes for around the edge that hold the panel in, they were countersunk on the originals. So I've gone ahead and I've made a slight countersink on these, so the screws that hold it to the wood will lie nice and flat against the metal. Okay, now that the aluminum door plates have are cut out and have all the screw holes, and I've also cut out the lock opening and the holes for the fastener for the lock. I've got to cut out the hinge sort of indentations here, and when I trace them out, they are kind of rounded. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the drill press here to make the corner, and then I can get my jigsaw in and make a straight cut across here, and of course cut across here, and then I'll have the nice rounded corners, which will match the plates that are currently on there that have all the contact paper and gunk and everything on them. So we'll see how this goes. Okay, and so there's the cutout on the door. It looks pretty good, and I think it matches pretty well the original. And so I'm going to sand this, rough it up, clean it up a little bit, and then it will need a 2-part epoxy primer. I have marked off where there were holes in the other door, which I assume were for the Morris 1000 little emblem that went on the back of the Traveler, and you can see them there, but I haven't drilled them out because I want to look at my replacement emblems and make sure that I'm not drilling holes that are in the wrong place. And so I've marked them out, but I still need to grab those replacement ones and make sure that the holes are in the right places for the little push studs at the back of the Morris 1000 emblem. Okay, so I'm giving the doors a very, very light sanding with 220. And again, take out any scratches that were there, and then smooth out where the drill holes are. But also, you need to have a little bit of texture, a little bit of bite on that surface. You don't want super, super shiny aluminum because it's going to really be hard, even with an epoxy primer, really to make sure that you've got it holding on there. Where if you have a little bit of a bite on that surface, rather than super, super shiny, you have a much better chance having that finish, the primer lay down in there and hold, so your finish will hold.